My name is Randy Bigley. Joining me on the podcast right now from the Marion-Crawford Prevention Programs. I'm talking with Christi Eckert. Good morning, Christi.
Good morning, Randy.
How are you today?
I am doing well, thank you.
Well, thank you so much. And I think our topic today we're going to talk about is mental health with our youth, right? Which is very important these days. And I can't imagine being a youth these days and what you have to deal with.
Yeah, I can't either. I'm glad I grew up when I did. But
Right.
we are seeing lots of struggles among our youth. We see that locally, but statistics show that 50% of our adolescents struggle with some sort of mental health disorder or have a mental health struggle in their lifetime. So
Why is that? Do you think it's so these days is so different and so much more?
there's just so much. I think that some of the pressures. I was thinking about this and talking with some of the kids. There's that pressure of sports to be the best. A lot of people think that they can make it big and be a famous sports person.
Right.
There's the college credit, the extra college stuff in the school age. They're encouraging that for kids to make college cheaper because college is so expensive. But that's a stressor and that's a lot of work for even your smart, focused kids. And then the last one, the big thing to me is social media. We see so much, those expectations put on kids. This is the way I should be. This is the way I should look. Well, a lot of those people on social media, that's not them either,
Exactly.
They're comparing themselves.
There's a lot of phonies on social media, and they all want to live up to that, or they're social media famous. And everybody's got to be social media famous, and there's a pressure on that. Even using social media as a bullying aspect, too. That happens, too. You and I didn't have that growing up,
No.
But being, the bullying part of it, that's rough, too.
Oh, it's terrible. And, the thing that we talk about when we talk about bullying, if you were bullied as a child when we were kids, it was only when you were in front of that person primarily.
Right,
but when you've got social media that's at your fingertips 24/7, you never can escape from it. So,
yeah, exactly.
We see that all of those things really contribute to the struggles that we're seeing for our youth.
When is right for a parent to intervene or get involved in a social situation?
Sure, that's a great question. As a parent or guardian, it's you have to watch for the signs. Seeing changes in attitude, and again, with moody teenagers, sometimes it's really hard to determine that. But when you see the way they're acting start to affect their everyday life, so if they can't focus on homework, can't focus on school, don't enjoy or can't focus on their hobbies, their sports, that kind of stuff is a really red flag that your young person is struggling.
So, what do they do if they believe their youth is struggling?
Sure.
Parents
parents are concerned. I think the first tip I would share is to say talk with your physician, talk with your doctor. They can sit down with the student and kind of just evaluate where they are. And then, recommend counseling or medication or both. And sometimes it might not be necessarily a mental health struggle, just some depression, some sadness. There's a difference between, feeling sad and being depressed or having a mental health disorder. Situations can cause you to be depressed or sad. And sometimes we need someone to talk to about and how to learn how to process through. And sometimes it needs to be not the parents.
Right. It's all right to ask. I mean, if you're feeling, I think if you're a parent or guardian or you're the youth yourself and you're having trouble, it's okay to get help, right?
It is. It is. It's okay. And that's one thing that we talk about is you have to talk about mental health. We have to talk about struggles for people to see that everybody or all people might have different levels of struggle through life. And so it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to reach out and ask for guidance. And it's okay to just say, I'm struggling. So yeah, definitely.
What can parents or guardians do to help with them to prevent maybe a mental health struggle or something?
Sure. There's some tips that we like to give people. Technically, like we said, talking about it is a really, really big thing. But encouraging like self-care and physical self-care. And I think as adults, we struggle with this too.
Oh, yeah.
So I think we have to show our kids how to take care of ourselves, and we don't always do that. But, self-care, physical activity, healthy habits, eating, all of those kinds of things are really imperative to a good functioning mind and body. And if your body's not functioning properly, your mind probably isn't either. So, learning those kinds of things. We also talk about fostering mental health and emotional health. You know, if you are struggling, find things that give you peace. If it's journaling, painting, hobbies, whatever that might be. But find things that bring you peace, give you calm, and kind of reset you. Discussing social media usage with your kids is another thing, you know, setting limits and explaining why, you know, and showing that kind of thing. Again, being the good example and putting the phone down at times and for good periods of time. You know, the social media can really, really eat away at them. Teaching them healthy boundaries. You know, what's a good amount of time to be spent with friends? What's a good amount of time to spend on schoolwork? You know, and if you're not feeling up to being with people at that time, although they encourage, you know, engaging with people, how do we, you know, nicely say that and just say, you know, not today, but next time, and set limits for your friendships, your relationships, your all aspects of life, really setting some boundaries. And then the last thing, again, talking openly. The only way we're going to reduce the stigma around mental health and mental health disorders is to talk about it and feel comfortable talking about it and saying, it's okay to struggle, let's get help.
Exactly. Don't be ashamed of it. Don't be afraid to say something. Everybody struggles with something, I think.
Oh yeah. I mean, again, it might not be a mental health disorder, but it could be a situational depression, or you know, we all have things happen in our life that maybe aren't always positive. How do we process through that? How do we develop coping skills? All of those kinds of things are really, really important when we're talking about mental health.
And unfortunately, the winter times, the sunshine and all that, it's a big time for depression, isn't it?
Oh, it is. And you know, a lot of people think, you know, and the holidays and things can be a huge time for depression, but sometimes when things are supposed to be normal and people are then looking at themselves saying, I don't feel normal, and, you know, that makes it even worse. So understanding, again, recognizing signs, and honestly, any of this could be useful with adults, not just your kids.
Awesome. If someone, if they're struggling, what can they do? Who can they reach out to? And
there's a variety of resources in our community. We have the Adam Board is a really great place to start. Their website lists all the local counseling resources. Again, I do encourage doctor first, just because medication might be necessary. May not be, and then they can often too refer you to different counseling groups in this area. There are resources. We have some of our schools even have counselors in the school, like external counselors. So we're seeing that too, because we know that we're seeing an increase in that youth mental health. So those are great resources to start with. And you know, again, talk about it, ask around, feel comfortable. And another thing to mention is, if you do see a counselor, to understand that if you don't connect with the counselor the first time, that's okay. There are other people you can touch base with, and it's okay to say, I'm not connecting with that person. So.
Awesome. If someone wants to get a hold of the Marion-Crawford Prevention Program, maybe they want to volunteer. How can they do that?
We're our office. Our main office is out of Marion. You can go to our website, or you can go to the Facebook pages of our Crawford Prevention Coalition or our Drug Free Marion Coalition. Those are both on Facebook.
Okay.
And those are great ways to volunteer and make a difference in the communities.
All right, Christi, thank you so much for that information. Again, if you're struggling out there, don't be afraid. Speak
right.
up. Speak up and get help. There's help available.
There is.
Thank you, Christi.
Thank you, Rain.